Hi, welcome back to DXB today. Hope you're enjoying the show as we celebrate all things street culture. I think we can all agree that it has well and truly established itself here in Dubai. And like many things here, it is growing at pace. You can't talk street culture without talking street eats. Yep, let's get on to the food because our next guest is one of our expert foodies here on the show, the founder of the award-winning Frying Pan Adventures, Arva Ahmed, who joins us live here on the sofa. Oh, well, good to see you as always. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, you know, we've been talking for many years about street eats and street food. And certainly you were one of the first, one of the OGs, the pioneers, to recognise that, you know, this was an area of the city that people wanted to see more. Okay, yeah, we've got the glitz and glam, we've got the Michelin, we've got the Goey Mears, etc. But people wanted to get a bit more authentic. Sort of give me an idea of just how quickly it's evolved during your career.
Sure. I mean, honestly, it began out of a very personal journey. When I moved back to Dubai, I just wanted to reconnect with the side of the city that I'd grown up in, a more simple, humble, nostalgic side. And for me, the best way is you just walk the streets, you discover this guy on the street corner, and you taste something, and it automatically gives you sort of this sense of place, which is what it gave for me. And that theme became so loud in my mind that I knew I had to share it with other people, because the only thing we were talking about in Dubai, 10, 15 years ago was the glitz, the glam. And I knew there was so much more to that. There was a whole other side of the spectrum. So it began there. It began very small with just very simple walking food tours where we started telling stories of food and history and culture and bringing people together. And then things just snowballed from there. There's been a whole movement, I wouldn't just say in Dubai, but around the world, of following in the footsteps of Anthony Bourdain. Everyone sees themselves as a food explorer, and when they land, they want to meet someone who gets the local food scene, who'll sort of show them what the not touristy spots are. And I just, I've seen it growing so much over the last couple of years.
Amazing.
I'd be really interested to know, what are some of the most surprising street foods that you've come across? Like, we're all quite used to what's quite common on the streets, but we always get excited by what is out there that will really make us think. And what have you been most surprised by on your journey?
I mean, to be honest, in this day and age, with social media, there's nothing really that's a hidden gem or a surprise, even though people want to pretend that it is. I will say the stuff that holds my heart and my attention to date are always the corner bakeries, because you can smell them even before you reach them. And there's nothing like the smell of fresh baking bread and that sort of yeasty sweet aroma in the air that can tie you to a place, whether you're in Tbilisi in Georgia or whether you're here in Dubai behind the Gold Souk and those little Afghani, Pakistani bakeries who are baking you the za'atar cheese bread. It's something that may not be as surprising to people, but somehow when you take that first bite, it's so grounding. It's instantly grounding, even if you've never had za'atar before. And I would say that that for me is like one of the hallmarks of street food that we have here in this city.
And you are the perfect person to do this, Arva. I mean, look, bakeries are definitely one thing. I remember the French bakery, the modern bakery. There's been so many different bakeries in town that are really influential to people's lives. But I want to concentrate on something that you just said about Anthony Bourdain and people wanting to go in his footsteps. I remember he was here as well before, and he done some great foodie tours. But something that he did was ditch the silver. So you've done the same thing. You've said, no, forget all the glitz and glam and the silverware. I want to do a new show. So I want to hear about your new show.
I love that you said that, because that is exactly the name of the show. It's Ditch the Silver, and this is a project that came to life along with Reem Malhouni and TI-22 Films a little bit over a year ago, and it began as a project on YouTube where essentially we just ditch the silver, and it's about taking our food tours from Frying Pan Adventures, to the globe. So that even people who aren't here, people who've never thought of Dubai in this way, are now suddenly like, oh my God, I thought it was just about the skyscrapers and the fancy hotels. And no, there's a whole other side of the city. I truly believe that Dubai is finally owning a title that always belonged to us. We are the world's most culturally diverse food capital. That is what we are. And this show is about showcasing that to people. It began on YouTube. Now we have 8 episodes running on Emirates in-flight, and then thanks to TI-22, we are now on OSN and OSN Plus. We have 10 exclusive episodes about showcasing 10 different neighborhoods of Dubai and each of their unique culinary personalities across different cultures of the city. And all of it is very much hands-on, roll up your sleeves and dig in.
So, and that's fantastic because obviously UAE is known for their food tours and foodie places. Every day we see a pop-up of a new food. Yesterday I went to Abu Dhabi to have a food that I've never tasted such a food before, because the way that the chef was explaining the journeys was so intricate that I actually felt like I was part of it. So looking at your Emirati food tours, is there any neighborhoods or markets that we must hit, or any hidden gems that we might not know of that you recommend us going and joining?
100%. Over the last decade, we have focused primarily in Old Dubai when we were doing our tours, but one of the first things I'd written in my business plan was I wanted to find a dedicated way of celebrating Emirati food specifically. And it only took 12 years, but I'm glad we are here where we finally have figured out an exclusive route, and this is in Jumeirah. This is the neighborhood where I actually went to school in, where it's an all Emirati food tour. Everything from the fuala, which is the hospitality snacks that you have, like your lugemat. And incidentally, what most of us call lugemat out and about in Global Village, that's not really the true lugemat. It has a totally different name. So we dispel a lot of the misconceptions. We're having a traditional coffee ceremony by the beach. I would say Jumeirah is one of those neighborhoods where you have some Emirati gems that people haven't discovered, and the beauty of this is that it's not just us alone working with it. We're working with another homegrown brand called Rove Hotels, which is all about bringing local communities into their hotels, and now they're pushing people out the lobby doors and saying, go out and experience the true indigenous Emirati culture with Frankland Adventure. So it's very exciting.
And you just hit on another one there. You know, we hear about the trend in travel at the moment. People want to get off the beaten path. They want to have experiences rather than just go to a resort and sit on a beach. Are you seeing the same when it comes to food? Because you just talked there about the tea rituals for Emiratis as well. And we forget about the rituals, the traditions of eating different cuisines around the world. Is that what people want as well?
100%. You know, it's food just suddenly takes on a completely different life when you know the story behind it or the etymology behind it. Sometimes there are certain words when you break down, wow, this is where that word originally comes from. Just something simple like kebab, you know, a kebab, like what are the different iterations? If you go back into ancient Mesopotamia, that it's connected to the word for turban, you know, these kinds of things, when you share them with people, suddenly it opens up, it sparks new connections for people. And it's the same with rituals. You know, the art of Emirati Gahwa, and I call it an art because really that's what it is. And I think it's one of those things which has so many meanings in, you know, in olden day marriage ceremonies. Just the art of the fact that you ideally pour 3 cups of coffee, and every cup of coffee actually has a name. Finyal al-Sayf, Finyal al-Kayf, Finyal al-Dayf. There's so much. I mean, honestly, you could do an entire tour on just Emirati coffee. And I think it fascinates people that for us here, coffee is not just a drink that you just swig in the morning and you go to work. This is something that has very deep-rooted history and meaning.
I was noticing that early this morning when I was at work. In another role, and I've been working with colleagues for over 15 years on the radio. Every morning with their chai, it goes from one cup to the other, one cup to the other, one cup to the other. And I've never asked why. I'm going to ask you. What's the ritual there? The tradition?
Do they put the pouring of the coffee from one to another? It's partly theatrics so that you, Tom, would actually watch that and order that. No, I'm kidding.
Create a mess everywhere.
No, what happens is you're aerating the coffee. So when you introduce oxygen is a great carrier for flavor compounds. And so you're frothing that coffee with oxygen, and so the flavor travels better.
That's interesting, because in the Caribbean we do that to cool it down.
There you go.
It's
Also, it's done to cool it down,
Interesting. And you mentioned something with the 3 cups of coffee, because you normally have 3 dates as well with it. So it's the same, I've never known why.
Well, the idea of 3 dates or any odd number of dates is actually thanks to the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he always said you should have an odd number of dates. There are lots of things that we do in this culture, in Emirati culture, and just in general cultures of the Muslim world that are connected with the Prophet, peace be upon him. So, you know, even just eating with hands. We have cutlery. Why do people still ditch the silver? Because that is the sunnah. That is how he would eat.
Tastes
and so
better.
we follow. Well, thank you. You're all speaking my language. I appreciate it. Let's all ditch the silver together.
I find that all of these insights, they're really powerful. in that if we have a connection to food culture or any culture in particular, if we don't know the nuances of them, then we have a very different experience. So when we go traveling, for example, and we go to a new environment, if we have someone who can introduce us to local culture, we have an elevated experience, and this is really powerful. So I think what you're doing is really important, and if we want to become part of it, how do we do that? How do we become part of Frying Pan Adventures?
I love that you asked that question. So there's many different ways. If you're based here, your people are traveling here, the best way is to sign up for a food tour at fryingpanadventures.com, and our Emirati food tour is now live with Rove Hotel, so we're very excited that it's out and about. And then if you're not here, or even if you are here and you want to continue exploring past the tours, we're on Ditch the Silver, and that is on YouTube. It's on Emirates In-Flight. We have 10 exclusive episodes, as I mentioned, on OSN and OSN Plus, which are airing all over the MENA region. So many different ways of adding up the calories with us. In a good way, in a way that contributes to your knowledge.
Thank you, Arva, for being you. I still haven't been on one of your tours yet, so I need to rectify that. And,
Let's change that.
Yeah, we will, definitely.